Waiting for Ellie to join us. So firstly, thanks everyone for attending today. It's good to see lots of faces smiling back at us. For those of you who sort of don't know, my name's Chris Brewerton. I head up the chamber in Sutton, Lichfield and Tamworth. So we'll be introducing our sort of guest speakers in a moment, just while we wait for the last person to join. And then we'll get started. There is a chat box in the right-hand side, as I can see some of you already use, which is perfect. In terms of the running order of what we'll do today, we'll be going through a bit of information about the awards themselves, and then we'll be speaking with Nicole and Mike, and then we'll bring in Rob, who's on our judging panel for this year. So now we're all sorted. Jess, if you just want to lock the room and then we're all good to go. Right. So yes, welcome everybody to Sutton, Lichfield, Tamworth and Cannock Chase Awards master plan event about the nomination process for our awards. It's fantastic to see numerous businesses I can see from Sutton Coldfield, from Lichfield and from Tamworth, which is great to see. This webinar is being recorded for posterity and for advice, so it's good to see that we've got a good number of businesses joining us today. As I said just initially, I head up the chamber in Lichfield, Tamworth, Sutton Coldfield. We also work with Cannock Chase Chamber on these awards for the first time this year, with them being online. So really today is getting a bit of an insight from our three speakers this afternoon. We have Nicole Plowman from Kept Print, who is marketing director, Tamworth-based, family-owned, full-service commercial printer, and won the Lichfield and Tamworth Large Business of the Year in 2018. And Nicole was also nominated for the Future Face of Sales and Marketing in 2019 and the Young Professional in 2020. So quite a good history there with the awards. Nicole, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. We also have Mike Dale, Managing Director of Crown Highways. Crown Highways are based in Burntwood, Burntwood-based civil engineering specialists, who again themselves have been crowned Business of the Year in 2018 and 2020. So hopefully you're going for a hat trick this year, Mike. It's great to see you today. Thank you.
No problem. Good afternoon.
Wonderful. And then we have Rob Pollard, probably most importantly, is a judge on our judging panel for 2021. So any questions, any discussions, any arguments, I'll just pass them all to Rob.
Thanks for that, mate.
When he's made the decision. But joking aside, Rob's a great supporter of the Greater Birmingham Chamber. His business, Lightbox Media, a digital marketing agency based in central Birmingham, and are patrons of the Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce. So welcome, Rob, and thanks for your support. And it's good to have you on the judging panel this year.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Look forward to the session.
Wonderful. We were due to have Nik Hardy on the call as well, who's also on the judging panel. He's had to drop out, unfortunately, for personal reasons about 10-15 minutes ago. But again, Nik sends his apologies. But well worth sort of listening to obviously what Rob and Nicole and Mike have got to say about our process in the next few minutes and for the rest of the hour. So I just really wanted to start really with a bit of a I suppose an intro about the Sltc Awards, as they're called this year. They started in 2017. We're now in our fifth year. The number of award entries in 2020 were double those compared to 2019. So it's really been a growing event in terms of sponsorship and engagement with businesses across the area. It's really become a key event for us as a chamber in these areas, but also I would very much hope for our members who are involved. Historically, of course, we would hold it at the Belfry in the great surroundings of their main room with over 250 guests present. Of course, due to the current restrictions, it will be online this year, which is a real shame that we're not going to be at the Belfry. But I think now more than ever, it's just as important for us to use this opportunity to give opportunities to local businesses to talk about how they've coped with the last 6 to 7 months, but also how they've been successful prior to that and how they're looking to move forward. The events themselves have been supported by some really good local organisations, including the local councils in the areas, and not to mention Crown Highways, Kept Print, who are on the call today, who have sponsored the events in previous years, as well as the likes of South Staff's College and Haynes Watson, and to name but a few over recent years. In terms of the deadline and nomination process, as you may be aware, the deadline for the awards is the end of this month. So hence the reason we're putting this out, really as a way for people on the call to understand a bit more about the awards. But also by the time of the Friday, the 27th of November, which is the deadline for nominations, we'll obviously be sort of sending this across to other people and other businesses who may be interested in hearing from the judges and previous people to talk about how they've benefited from it. Obviously, we're aware that online is slightly different to in person. We've all been to awards dinners in person previously. Hopefully some of you have been to the SLT Awards as well. So I just wanted to quickly share a video of the Solihull Awards that took place online a week last Thursday. Again, a really great event, and it'll give you an idea of what the event will look like online. So just bear with me as I share my screen and we'll go from there. So.
Hello and welcome to the Solihull Chamber of Commerce Awards 2020.
We're here to recognise and celebrate some of the finest organisations and individuals of Solihull.
You're all winners in my book. I am your bargain basement, Ed James, for tonight.
We will miss you and your red shoes.
I've got the award. Clock is ticking, so it's off to Solihull. Let's go. I'm in awe of the effort. So many people in our borough and our chamber. You're really sharp tonight. My order on you as the next James Bond. Okay.
The winner of Outstanding Apprentice of the Year is Fran Leonard and Alexandra Sheldon.
Is he in your garden? Is he up your drain pipe? Is he in your coal shed? We want to know about it.
And the winner is Grow Organic.
Congratulations to Grow Organic.
The winner of the Outstanding Startup Business of the Year 2020 is Home Dye.
Lillian, who's on the short list.
The winner of the Outstanding Large Business is Emsley.
I'm sure. No, check the results again.
Hannah Elson.
Great work, Hannah, and the judges would also like me to mention Michael Rutherford.
The winner is from the Specsavers, Solihull, Braddon, Spencer Parks.
The winner of the Outstanding Charity of the Year is Adoption Focus.
Byron, who's on the short list.
Outstanding Small Business of the Year, Digital Innovative.
Digital Innovative.
I want to offer my congratulations to all the winners this evening. You are amazing. And we hope to see you in person next October. Goodbye, thank you. And good night.
So hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea of what the event will look like. I've got a lot to live up to with Tony Alvin's suit, I must admit. So Nicole, I don't know if you're ready for some presenting duties, or even Mike. We'll have to get you roped in for that. But hopefully that's given you a bit of an update. I know the sound wasn't great there, but do hope that's a visual sort of impact of it. So yeah, that was my introduction done. I suppose first and foremost, I wanted to bring in the first person on our panel. Which is Nicole. So, Nicole, I know you've worked, quite extensively in Tamworth for a number of years, and so you've had some really good success with the awards. Just, I suppose, start with yourself and just give us a bit of an update on you as a business and as a business person in the area, and tell us a bit about your history with the awards.
Yeah, so I work for a company called KEP Print Group. We're based in Tamworth. We've got about 110 people who work for us. It's quite a large business. We do all kinds of printing. I mean, from everything from business cards, leaflets, like all of what I call the boring stuff, to the more exciting things, which are like full-scale retail campaigns. We have an in-house cardboard engineering department, which I think is one of the most unique things about us. And so that means that we can make custom packaging for any of our clients. Anything that's made out of cardboard is quite fun for me because you get to see how the designs come to life. I think more importantly is the heart of our business, which is that we're a family business. It was started 41 years ago now. So in 1979 by Mark and Anita Plowman, who are my in-laws. And they have just completely changed the business. Our whole story is that it was a one printing press in a garage kind of a story now to where we are now, which is, like I said, about 110 people employed in quite a large estate within Tamworth. Now we've got an extensive kind of history with awards. And the reason that we have that is because I came in to do the marketing for KEP. There was, barely any marketing but before I got there, which was just about 3.5 years ago. And I needed to stretch my budget as far as I could. And the easiest way to do that was to partner with the awards organizations who would do part of my job for me, frankly, is that if we were finalists or if we won an award, a lot of the marketing was done by the chamber. So we ended up entering, a number, a few before we did the chamber awards, kind of as tests to see what would work and what wouldn't. And then we got to the chamber. So we entered Lichfield and Tamworth Large Business of the Year, January 2019, Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, Excellence in Manufacturing. I think we're finalists in 2018, and then we won in 2019. Mm-hmm. And then for myself personally, I'm a member of Future Faces as well. And so I entered Future Faces of Industry and Future Faces of Sales and Marketing in 2 different years, 2018 and 19, and was a finalist in that, and then did Future Face of Sutton, Lichfield, and Tamworth last year, and was a finalist for that. So we've got a number of different things that we have entered, but I will say of all of the ones that we have entered, the Chamber Awards are the ones that I would absolutely keep coming back to. It's worth my time to be able to do that simply because of the reach and the credibility that the Chamber has. I mean, you can't duplicate that anywhere else, which is why we keep coming back and why we're still so continuously involved.
That's good to hear. Less of the sponsorship, though, Nicole. Come on, that's not. No, joking aside, I think, as you say, it's that, that sort of awareness through what we do. And just give us an example of how that's helped your sort of profile and awareness and the internal morale of the business. I know you've had some sort of specific examples of that previously as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, a lot of it just had to do with like the reach, the publicity, and the reputation that came with the chamber. Obviously, like I said, I want to make my budget go as far as possible. And so, we spend our time on doing these awards, which if I can give any tip is just make sure that you give enough time to be able to do that. But it doesn't cost any money, which I think is one of the best parts. You don't have to pay anything to enter. And so we have some pretty high engagement stats around the time that the awards are either announced as finalists or during the time of the actual awards event. So let me pull those up really quickly because I pulled some social media stats. So for those who are interested, our Google impressions in the month of our 2019 SLT win went up 568% compared to the month previous. Website visits in the week after the event went up 296% in comparison to the week before. And our Twitter impressions skyrocketed because I think that's where a lot of the action is. They were up 3,262% the night of the event and the 2 days following as compared to those exact same days in the week before. So I think that those stats speak pretty highly for what the chamber reach is definitely. As far as clients, I can't 100% say that we've won any clients 100% off of the back of winning one of these awards. That's just not really how it works. But when it comes to reputation, you can shout about yourselves as much as you want. It is completely different when it comes from a more official body, an impartial body. And so we just use that as a marketing tool. We put it in the bottom of our customer service and salespeople's email signatures. We taught them how to weave it into conversations. We put it in all of our brochures and branding. And so when we sent these things out or when we were trying to get a big campaign, that was just one of the more credible way or ways that we could add credibility to what it is that we do. It's not just us saying we're great, it's somebody else saying it, and that is massive. And then I think the last thing, Chris, you said was morale. Is that?
Yeah. So there's sort of the internal morale of sort of your employees, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think that made a huge difference. Part of it, I think, is the way that we went about doing it. It's not that we just won and then we put it on a shelf in our foyer. We actually went around. So the owners took the award itself around to each and every single person who worked for us, gave them a handshake and a thank you, and explained a bit why the judges said that we won, and thanked everybody for their work. And so it was just really fun to see people quite excited about the fact that somebody else had recognized the work that they do. And especially since you can't get all 110 people in Belfry. It was
Absolutely.
just nice
Well,
to share that with
yeah,
them.
no, that's right. I'll bring in Mike there. I know Mike from Crown Highways, again, a similar story. And I know, I appreciate that, Nicole, some really good examples there. Mike, I know you bring as many as you can to your table when you do arrive, but it's I suppose, yeah, from your point of view, again, to give you a bit of an insight, Crown Highways are obviously Brentwood-based highways and sort of civil engineering business, so very different to KEP, but I suppose just give us a bit of an insight into how it works for you guys as well.
Yeah, so I don't think we are very different to KEP, and we're very different to a lot of the organisations within the region. We work across the UK, but we're very much first and foremost Birmingham based. We work a lot extensively with the Chamber. We were winners of this award in 2018 and earlier this year in 2020. We also won the Excellence in Technology and Innovation at the Greater Birmingham Awards in 2018. And we do a lot of awards, like Nicole was saying, industry, in her own industry. But the Chamber ones are completely different. It's great to be able to put in the same hat as 5 or 6 different companies with all different sites of trades, different people. The Belfry is a great event. It gives you the opportunity to bring your team members to go out and have a drink. It's a shame that we won't be there next year, to be honest, because it is a great social event. One of the things I was quite proud of, in 2019, I was one of the judges for the Solihull Awards. So it gave me an insight again of not only writing one of these submissions, but actually seeing what other people send in. And it was quite eye-opening to be honest. And it gave me probably the impetus to probably concentrate a little bit more on our 2020 submission, knowing what I'd gleaned from the submissions that we got for the Solihull Awards. So yeah, it's a great award. It gives you exposure. It's like Nicole says, I haven't got the stats, which are pretty impressive, I have to say. But agreed, exposure, use it on email footers. It's brilliant on the website to open a website up and see award-winning Crown Highways. It's absolutely fantastic, and it gets noticed, and we thank the Chamber for that.
Yeah, okay, no, that's great, and I think, I think as you say, that internal sort of morale and that positiveness, I think, is great, isn't it? And I suppose now more than ever, in this current situation, if people have been working hard in your business through difficult times, that's the key area. So no, thank you, Nicole and Mike. We'll come back to some questions on that. Certainly the social media stats. I didn't know you had those, Nicole. So yeah, you pulled those out of the hat. That's very interesting. I have to take those down. But I wanted to bring in Rob now. So Rob, obviously, your role, I suppose, as a digital marketer, is probably, I would imagine, involved writing some applications, perhaps for some of your clients previously. But obviously, I'm the judging panel this year, which is great for your support on that. Just give us a bit of an idea of going through those areas. So we've got the large and the small business of the year for Lichfield and Tamworth, for Sutton and for Cannock. So if we look at that in the first instance, just tell us some of the areas that perhaps as a judge you'll be looking at and seeing where can businesses highlight some of the things they've done in the last few years.
Yeah, excuse me. I think having judged a number of awards, I think some of the strongest applications or submissions that come in are, there's a few kind of housekeeping things, a bit like exams really, to kind of focus on, and that is, read the question properly and answer it properly, and the points that are given to you for you to elaborate on. Same as the word count. We're not looking for war and peace, but we are looking for a well-told story, and I think that's the key part. Some of if I can talk about the weaker ones that I've seen first, is that they just like very matter of fact answer the question. So it's like, what's your vision? And it's kind of to be the best in our field. Well, you know, what we're actually looking for is what, you know, think with questions like that, and they're not easy questions to answer because I mean, we work with all sorts of businesses professionally as well, but not many businesses have really got a grasp of their purpose as to why they exist and what their vision is. So it's worth taking a step back and really thinking about that, and even get your team involved as well. You know, it's a good thing to do, is engage your team, because you'll get some really good stuff out of them. But I think it's, you know, tell that story, you know, elaborate, and I think that if you bring in other aspects of why you exist, like whether it's to help, you know, whatever charity work you do, whether it's to build contribute to the community, whether it's to create jobs and nurture people, I think you have to look at a whole kind of 360 view of your business and what you do. But like I said, the weaker ones are where it's just, there's the question, there's the answer. There's nothing to really kind of get as a judge to start to understand the emotional aspects of why you're in business as well. Of course, we're all here to make a profit, and you know, you are putting your figures in there, but it's more than that. And I think that the stronger applicants are always the ones that tell that story better. So I think it's just taking the time. Don't rush it. It's because it's very easy, you know, we'll just fly through it, 500, 750 words and submit it. But actually, if you're really serious about winning, you've got to stand out amongst everybody else. And you know, as I said, think of it as a story that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah, and I suppose in that regard, I think, you know, like I think Nicole briefly mentioned, is having that, yeah, that sort of step back from your business and being able to look at some of the work that people within your company have done, and that in itself is quite a good exercise from that regard, isn't it? It can works both ways, really.
Yeah, and you know, same as when you are nominating someone, I think try and think about, you know, what it is that, you know, what left a lasting impression on you. What did they do that was spectacular? Because there is a reason that you're nominating, whether it's somebody, you know, within the organisation or you know, externally. You've left a lasting impression on that person. So if you can really tap into that and tell, it all comes back to, you know, tell the story. Don't just answer a very kind of straightforward question.
Absolutely. And we wouldn't be, you know, we'd be remiss to obviously mention the current COVID-19 sort of situation and over the last 6 to 7 months. Of course, you know, we continued for the awards, and we're going to hold them obviously come up May and January, and it'll be a great night and a great way to promote local businesses. I think there will, of course, be an aspect to that in the applications. Just tell us from your sort of personal view where that comes in terms of how that might affect some of the applications, but then I suppose it's not all about, you know, we were talking about yesterday, it's not all about COVID-19. There's more to life than that, and hopefully there will be in the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, there's all sorts of things that come into this. You know, innovation, that's going to be a key. Creativity. I think let's not focus on the negatives with COVID. And I think even the kind of how we've overcome challenges. I think if we can talk about how businesses have been creative, how they've evolved, how they've you know, adapted and changed their you know, their usual way of going about things to get through this, but and even prosper. You know, the personal stories as well. You know, what were there any? How did that? Was it that there was a great leader there? You know, that really inspired the team, because, you know, it's not just about a business here, it's about people. So it's how you can you know, work that in and explain that and create a strong case for the submission. But I wouldn't lead on COVID. You know, I think there's there's a lot more to this than that. But I certainly think it's worth bearing in mind that, you know, how people have prospered during this time.
Okay, no, that's great. No, great tip, Rob. I'm conscious of, obviously we've got our delegates on the call, so if you have got any questions for any of the panel, by all means, put them in the chat, and we can add them sort of, you know, and ask them as we go. Robert, I just wanted to continue on the discussion around the awards. Obviously, we've got the application form that you can download, obviously, from our portal, and as you say, it is quite you know, there's lots of different areas that you can look at. I suppose moving on to the Young Professional Award, this is of course a really something that's really quite close to my sort of heart, I suppose, without being too soppy about things. I think, you know, I'm 35, so I'll just be within the limit. I turned 35 last week, so I'm just within the limit. But I think for me, it's as important as ever to talk about young people and young professionals. Just give us a bit of an insight into your thoughts on that side of the, you know, that specific award.
Yeah, I think naturally, well, actually, some of the best submissions that I've seen have been for young people, because what you tend to get is a very energetic, hungry kind of individual that's really you know, spreading their wings, getting involved in all sorts of things. And I think that's a really key point, is that, yeah, young people, and you know, unfortunately I fall just outside of the future faces, but it's you know, I've met some incredible people over the years that I can't believe that against their age and what they're actually doing, that they've achieved all of this stuff. And I think that I think what they do very well is they make a strong case for each. Let's think of them as pillars. They've got their community pillar, their charitable contribution pillar, their performance at work pillar, and they're doing a lot in that sense. And I think that, you know, I don't think that it's all based on experience. Like the awards shouldn't be judged on how long they've been doing it. I always think it's about the energy that they're bringing to the table, and it's yeah, it's quite remarkable what some of them are doing. But again, they break it down into as a judge, you get a very clear sense of the way that they structure their answer as to, you know, their strengths and what they've achieved. It's very achievement focused.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, as you say, you know, even the last 6 to 7 months, there will still be young professionals in businesses that have had to grow and grow as professionals. And I think, yeah, that's the key, isn't it? Over and you know, a number of years is how they've grown. Mike, I wanted to bring you in, Mike, at Crown. I think I know you've got a number of young sort of people in your organisation that I know you've put people forward previously. Just give us an idea as an MD how you see that young professional side of the awards and how that will how that will help.
I think it's really important. We tend to go for these awards as big businesses and try to win and get your name up in lights. But when you start focusing on your young individuals and your apprentices, we've got 8 apprentices within the business at the moment. We put forward a young lad, Michael Pepper, through to the main awards last year. He wasn't successful, but you know what? He had a great time. He was in our limelight. He was on our social media. The boost that gives him personally is absolutely fantastic. So just look at your young people. Some of them are outstanding. Some of the work you do, and someone at my level might not necessarily see him day to day, but I know what he does, but I don't know the intricacies and the details that he does. And some of the stuff that these guys are doing is fantastic. I'd like to think I was that switched on when I was their age, but who knows? So I don't know. But yeah, putting forward. You'll be surprised, and we usually have people writing these kinds of things, and it ends up being myself. But the young guys, the young girls, they can write these things themselves. They're used to writing this sort of thing for college work and university studying and things like this. So this is bread and butter writing for them, and there's no waffle. It's all off the bat and from the heart.
Absolutely. Okay. No, thanks, Mike. I've just seen a question in the chat. So thanks, Laura. Laura, if I could bring you in, Laura from HIB in Tamworth. How are you? You okay?
Yes, fine, thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, ask away, Laura. Go on. What's your question?
I just wondered, as obviously I'm working from home at the moment, and with the deadline where it is, if businesses that submit a 90-second application video as well as the application form, would they be favoured more highly perhaps than somebody who just submits a application form, because that may be difficult to do with the current circumstances. I don't know who that's to, but if anybody can shed some light.
Well, can I just say we did record a 90-second video for last year's submission where we were successful. So maybe you can tie the two together, I don't know. But if your 90-second video tells the story of your application, then it can't hurt you. But it's not scored, in my understanding, is it? I don't think. No, absolutely, Rob. Yeah, and if you want to give your thoughts as well on that,
Yeah, I completely agree with Mike. You don't get scored on the media, but actually what you get from a video is you get personality as well, which can always go a long way and help as against a written application. That being said, though, not everybody's comfortable with jumping in front of the camera, so they will be scored evenly. There'll be no favourable, approach towards video applications.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
No, great. No, I think as both Mike and Rob said, it gives you that awareness of the business, but certainly wouldn't be favoured, and we'll have to see some interest. I'm sure you can make an interesting video, Laura. I'm sure you can.
Get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or even better.
I think the video was good from our point of view. We got a number of team members to do it, and they got 10 seconds each. So it doesn't have to be one person sat in front of it. Go around the team, get your apprentices talking, get the tea lady, all sorts. It means more when there's lots more people in it.
Yeah, I think with any application, a really important word is authenticity as well. So I think whether you're writing or creating a video, authenticity needs to shine through. But I think that it possibly can maybe a bit more if it is on a video.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it brings the business to life that little bit more. I know one of our previous applications, I think last year, recorded a video from the Sydney Opera House where she was over doing some business, which worked quite well. Not sure they can do that this year, so it might not be an international flavour to it, but no, that's all good. I've got a question from Vanessa. Vanessa, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So I was just wondering, because obviously you don't want to literally just read out your application on your video. Any tips as to what you might, what the content of your video might be?
I'll jump in here. I've done two, one for the business and one for Future Faces. The one that I did for the business basically just went around the factory to kind of show what it is that we did. And then like Mike said, we had people who jumped in and told why they liked working at KEP and what it was that kept them coming to work every day, more than just a paycheck. And so we did that sort of a video. And then the one that I did for Future Faces, I gave free rein to another employee to be able to put something together because I just felt a bit weird about doing a video about myself. And what they came up with is they had recommendations from many of the people that I worked with on a day-to-day basis, and they pieced that together in a video. So it was less like me bragging about myself on paper and more the other employees speaking about kind of what they thought that I had done for the business, both from like a statistical standpoint, but then also like Rob said about the story and the enthusiasm and those sorts of things. And I think that they could speak on that. I was quite happy with how the video came across. It was really
big risk there, Nicole, isn't it? If they don't come and say that you've done some good things, that's always the risk.
I had at least 45 seconds of nice things people said about it, so that was great.
Yeah. Nicole edited it.
Yeah, that's really helpful, thanks.
Okay, wonderful. Any other further questions from those in the room? Oh yeah, Joanna, yeah, over to you.
Hi everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yes, all good, Joanna.
Yeah, just a question to the room really. So in terms of the video submission, can it just be a video that you've taken on your phone? It doesn't have to be, professional quality with a DSLR. Is that okay to just record it via your mobile?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
don't make it too difficult.
You don't want it too polished anyway.
Thank you. I'll get to work on my production skills.
Well, Joanna, as the future face of finance at the recent awards, you should win automatically, but that won't be the case. Brilliant. If there's any further questions, by all means put them in. I suppose I just wanted to come back to Nicole, if I could, Nicole, on the social media stats. Obviously, that was a big part of what you mentioned. Yeah, just give us an insight, perhaps, of how you measured that and how that worked. I know we've got Helena from 3D Facilities, and I know they've done some really good work recently on the social media sort of engagement side. So perhaps, a bit of advice from that, Nicole, in terms of how you maximise that as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just engagement. I mean, obviously, you can't just show up on the day and have your business be engaged in the awards, or else it doesn't quite work. You have to have a business with some sort of personality before. And kind of establish that beforehand. But then during the night of, I was on my phone for a lot of it because I was managing the social media part of it. But you just interact with everybody, and you get people excited about the hashtag. We did I hate the word campaign because it's internal, but we did like an internal campaign with all of our employees to be able to follow along on Twitter and Facebook to see what was happening, told them about the hashtag, they got excited as well. And then for those who are unfamiliar about social media stats, there's places within Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is that you're using, where you can see the insights. And so you can measure them however you want, basically. I mean, you could do it from a year ago compared to this year's stats, or a week ago compared to this week's stats, but it can show you who's engaged, where they're engaged from, how they're engaged, whether it's retweets, likes, etc. You can also calculate how many people are using the hashtag, and then I know that Jess and the events team have been wonderful anytime I ever had a question for them about how many people were engaged online, how many people did use that hashtag, and then she could give me further insights into that. So it's a good way to look into it. But because that's my job, I care a lot about that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. And Rob, I suppose, as a digital marketer, I suppose you've got some insight into that as well. Thanks, Nicole. Really, really good advice.
Yeah, I think if you do, Nicole was bang on there. I think as a business, you need to be active before and after the event, but also think about not only what the social channels are doing, but if you are going to be driving people somewhere, whether it's about the awards or whether it's about learning more about what you do, or the person that's in the has been submitted for the award, just think about that as well. Where are you channeling traffic to on your website? Because you may need to create some extra areas of it, or make launch new pages that cover this and are very dedicated towards it. Don't just send them to your homepage. Is what I'm saying. At least create something that's relevant to the campaign or the awards that you're actually you're running.
Some great advice there. Thanks both. No, that's really key. And yeah, certainly I know Jess is in the background on the call. I know our marketing team do a huge amount of work on the night. Probably even more so now with it being online. The digital aspect of it is hugely important. Something that the chamber with the hashtag Sltc Awards 21. I hope I've got that right, Jess. I think I have. That'll be obviously trailed largely. I suppose we're nearly towards the end. I just wanted to sort of a bit of a recap in terms of how it would work if you were nominated. So the deadline is obviously Friday the 27th of November. The judges will be meeting that following week, so get that in your diary ready, Rob. And the announcements then will be made prior to Christmas. So I think that gives us a good sort of 6-7 weeks lead up to the event, which as Nicole mentioned is really important to get that sort of awareness. Last year, we did a meet and greet with our sponsors and our nominees. I know 3D Facilities were there at one of the events. And again, we will do that this year. It will probably be slightly different. It won't be at U-Hall Hotel or at the Cathedral Hotel like we did last time, but there will be an online sort of meet and greet with all those nominated. So hopefully that will, again, give us another opportunity to promote the nominees and the sponsors as well. And then there will be a winners sort of celebration. What that looks like come February, March time, don't ask me, we don't know yet, but certainly if it is online, then we'll do a similar thing. But again, last year we had the winners who were the Moore Hall Hotel hosted a group of us all on the evening for a few drinks, and it was again a really good way for you to meet some of the people that were also nominated as well. So I suppose to the panel, that's probably the last question is through these awards, I'm sure there's stories of you meeting and potentially getting new business from some of these discussions and new connections. Is there anything that either of the three panelists would like to add to that?
I think we've had a few new business leads through the chamber in these awards. One of them, Nik, is not here. Nik Hardy. Nik Hardy now brands all of our vehicles and our workspaces. So that's one key relationship which we've developed, and that we've got a number of them. And it could be an opportunity for you to grow your business further. So grasp it if you can.
Absolutely. And Nicole and Rob, just last views, if there's any last questions, but last views from you. I suppose one key piece of advice probably from each of you. So Rob, just to finish off, and then Nicole.
I think put a plan together as well. So if you are nominated, put a plan together of how you're going to run it before, during, and after, because this will give you content that you can push out, and it's really strong as well. It's positive, especially at the moment. So but it won't work if you kind of win and then, even nominated. It won't work if you try and do it ad hoc. You've got to put some thought into it.
Brilliant, Rob. And finally, Nicole.
Yeah, I think more so than just doing it. I think the last piece of advice really that I haven't quite heard yet is to make your application visually stand out from the others, whether that it's just easier to read for the judges, because if it's 3 pages from 20 businesses, they've got 60 pages to read, and hopefully we'll get a lot more applications than that. But things like bullet points can make it a lot easier to read. If you have something that's going to be easier for them to understand in a chart or a graph, put that in. I mean, there's space in these applications for you to do something that is visually different. That's going to make it easier on Rob, and they'll like you more.
Yeah, absolutely. Even a summary at the start as to what key bullet points of achievements or whatnot, it really helps. You're absolutely right there, Nicole.
Yeah, I've seen and done a lot of these. And also one of the other tricks that I like to use is if I like the summary idea, but if you are finding that that's difficult with the word count, just bolding certain points throughout, not the whole thing, but just like really key ones, maybe one in each paragraph, can really help that stand out for them to go, oh yeah, this is the company that did X, Y, and Z, and I can see that in these 3 paragraphs.
Yeah. Thank you.
Brilliant, wonderful. No, that's great. No, that's some really good advice, and good to hear the sort of the engagement that we can get. So I think we've covered most areas. As I said, if you've got any further questions, please get in touch with me offline. We're happy to obviously engage with you on that. Speak to your relationship manager if you are a member. If you're not a member, contact myself. And we can get the application sent through to the email, which is on the application form, as I can't see where the email is on it. 2021 awards at birmingham-chamber.com. The deadline, I said, is the 27th of November. I really appreciate everyone's time. That was really, really interesting and hopefully enlightening and engaging for all of you on the call. We will be, we have been recording this, so we will be putting it out on our channels as well. So if you've got other contacts of the local businesses that are in the area that haven't been able to see this, please do send it on and like it across social media, and we'll make sure that it helps as many people. A huge thanks to Nicole, to Mike, and to Rob. Rob, we'll just put your email address at the bottom so that all the people who don't get nominated can spam you with feedback. After I've said at the start, it's all on you. So really appreciate it, everyone. Thanks so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you all again soon. Just finally, again, if you've got any further views and ideas, or you want to find more about the Chamber, please visit our website and look out for our events in the next few weeks and months until Christmas. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Guys.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Bye bye.